The idea to bring back to life the Sahara Desert, to try to stop the desert from encroaching further south into the Sahel. The idea to create a huge strip of vegetation crossing the entire African continent from Dakar in the west to Djibouti in the east. More than 8,000 kilometres long, crossing 11 countries. The idea is the Great Green Wall. It is a project born almost 20 years ago, officially launched by the African Union in 2007 to combat desertification. Since then, the project has evolved. It has become more social, trying to create millions of jobs to stimulate green growth. But critics say progress has stalled. So, in January, at the One Planet Summit in Paris, donors pledged to raise $14 billion over the next 5 years. For the French President Emmanuel Macron, the wall has to see the light of day.
This forum on the Great Green Wall is the first step in a long road to creating solutions based on nature. Basically, I feel what's important here in my mind about this initiative is that we develop solutions that are based on nature and solutions based on the vitality of African ecosystems, in particular in the 11 countries involved. These are two very significant paradigm shifts, but they are needed for success.
The Great Green Wall, once again then, a priority for the international community. We shouldn't forget that 15 years after its launch, only 4% of objectives have actually been achieved. Well, our correspondents have been to 2 countries across the Sahel, all affected by the project in very different ways, Senegal and Nigeria. Well, Moise Gomez, Sarah Sacco, with Emmanuel Londe, revisit the Great Green Wall for France 24.
According to the elders of Louga, the whole region was green once. Today it only rains a few weeks a year, exactly 300 millimetres on average, less than a can of Coke. We're here in the middle of a semi-arid zone in northwestern Senegal, on the path of the Great Green Wall, where former Minister of Environment and staunch ecologist Aidar El Ali and his team are hard at work.
I'm a great tree planter and especially passionate about the issues that can push people to act for their own well-being and the well-being of the environment around them, because everything is linked.
The environmentalist was recently appointed to head the National Agency for Reforestation and the Great Green Wall to try to breathe new life into the 15-year-old project.
There have been a lot of seminars, a lot of studies, a lot of reports, a lot of blah, blah, blah. And on the ground, there is a lot of nothing.
Aidar El Ali's recipe for success is simple. Go and meet people, village to village, to convince them of the value of planting trees. Here in Bai Awa, a rural community located in the north of the Louga region, the environmentalist always brings precious gifts.
Before planting, you must remove the black plastic. Above all, you must be careful not to remove the soil.
He hands out more than 1,000 plants in just a few minutes, including lemon and mango trees. Since he took office, this has been Aidar El Ali's approach: prioritise fruit trees to get the population involved.
It's that simple for me, by giving people the trees they need, not by doing programs to come and plant trees that nobody needs that will eventually die. Because with a tree that they need, they will take care of it, they will love it, they will water it, and they will expect it to give fruit.
Until now, fruit trees were a thing of the past in Bai Awa. So it's with gusto that the Mbeng family is planting its own lemon tree today. This farming couple and parents of 7 children have witnessed the region change firsthand.
There are not as many trees today as when I was a child. Back then, the vegetation was dense. It wasn't as dry as it is today. So I'm really happy. Trees are important. Their value is priceless. The plants we plant today, if they bear fruit, the whole family will benefit. Imagine, we buy a kilo of lemons at 600 francs.
Louga is the centre of the livestock and agricultural zone of Senegal. Yet, well before winter arrives, there isn't a blade of grass on the ground. Nomadic cattle devour the smallest sprig. This overgrazing, aggravated by climate change, is one of the main causes of the region's desertification. To give nature time to recover, new innovative methods are necessary at lower cost. Like these pods, which are cheap and a hit with the livestock.
After eating this fruit, the seeds will remain in the excrement of the animals. By returning them to the earth after the rainy season, we will have trees.
The Great Green Wall team hopes the experimental technique will be a success. They're using livestock to spread the seeds of the Acacia redania, or desert tree, in the area.
It's an extremely nutritious tree for the cattle, which allows cattle to have a lot of milk. But it's very important because it draws nitrogen to the surface. It actually enriches the soil.
Acacia seeds are distributed free of charge, a godsend for 11-year-old Usman, a young herdsman.
So he says sometimes he takes them far away to be able to find food.
Otherwise known as natural regeneration, this is Ida Al Ali's strategy in action, giving nature a boost and helping woodlands recover while meeting the needs of the people. Today, the ecologist is replanting in Mbula, a rural commune of the region, this time on board a strange convoy.
It's the monkey that eats the fruit. We ate the monkeys. There are no more monkeys to scatter the seeds. So we humans have to help nature, replace the animals to scatter the seeds by hand with a slingshot, hundreds of thousands of them. We'll come back here in 3 or 4 years and you'll see a lot of baobabs.
But what will the rate of success be for these seeds to take root in the sandy soil? Ida Al Ali is optimistic. With a tried and tested technique he successfully experimented with in the south of the country, where rainfall is 4 to 5 times higher. Fulani herders have volunteered to help him.
Yes, I was informed that the plants would be sown today. I gathered my friends and acquaintances. Everyone brought their horse. We participate because this reserve is very, very important to us. It's the only place where there's still grass for our animals.
The reserve is 700 hectares of fenced land, protected from grazing livestock and logging, a sanctuary. The Great Green Wall has around 30 of these reserves throughout Senegal. It's one of the agency's most visible successes.
Look here, there's no grassy carpet. And look here, this is for the cattle. And this also creates shade on the land. The land is not hit by the sun, which absorbs the water and kills all the biodiversity. When it rains on it, it will rot and feed the earth. And next year, the grass cover will be even more important.
Simple solutions and a lot of awareness. Will this be enough to finally see the Great Green Wall emerge from the sand? So far, only 4% of the objectives for 2030 have been reached in terms of land restoration in the area. And 18% has been achieved if we consider the wider region, due in part to poor governance or unfulfilled promises from donors. The reasons are wide-ranging. In Nigeria, less than 5,000 hectares have been restored in the past 10 years. Desertification threatens more than 40 million people in the north of the country.
Desertification, deforestation, and as a result, that has plunged the community into poverty and poverty albeit migration, conflicts.
Yavala Safiyanu is one of the project leaders in Nigeria. He's on a field visit to Jigawa on the border with Niger, one of the few places in the country where the agency can operate normally.
Insecurity is a challenge. There's nothing we can do more than either engage the services of forest guards in some of the areas which don't experience, or the areas which are not too volatile enough. But the areas that are too volatile, we try to suspend our operations there.
The team finally arrives in Gabasmari, a small village. Reforestation is underway here since 2018. On 3 hectares, an area the size of 4 football fields, the landscape has been transformed. Despite appearances, water isn't the biggest obstacle here.
Our projects have hitherto been vandalized by either animals, deliberately or indeliberately, by vandals who would like to encroach and cut down the trees, and by theft. The whole of this fence you are seeing can easily be folded and taken away by thieves if we don't have forest guard.
With this in mind, the Great Green Wall team has turned its attention to training. To find out more, we head to the neighbouring state of Kano, where the rural community of Kandandani is suffering from desertification. Mukhtar Magaji is a traditional village chief who oversees 8 villages. He also farms on the plantation he inherited from his father, but the soil's gotten poorer and poorer over the latest decades.
When I was a small child, I was taken to this field and there were many trees. And the crops back then were many times bigger than today. This field used to feed us all, more than 30 people. Now things have changed a lot. The trees are dead and our crops are not enough to feed the family.
Mukhtar has received training in the region over the past 3 years.
We have learned a lot from the Great Green Wall. First of all, they taught us how to take care of our traditional plants, the ones that grow spontaneously. Then they taught us how to plant these fruit trees, like these. They showed us how when you plant them and take care of them, they will grow during the winter and then bring back the richness of the soil.
The village now has its own nursery. Mango trees, but also orange and date palms are grown there. The plants grow thanks to the whole community, under the supervision of Mukhtar Magaji. The patriarch hopes to save his village.
The Sahara Desert is advancing on our land, and many of our people have left the village for the cities of Lagos or Port Harcourt to earn money. However, our soils are rich here. I'm convinced of it. Since I was a child, I have known the value of this soil. If we manage to take good care of the land, and if we manage to arrange it, foreigners will end up coming here, and our children won't leave.
The Great Green Wall team also trains women. In the conservative Muslim north, women rarely leave the family courtyard. Seylubal Owal, the first wife of a village farm worker, took a training course a year ago to learn how to make soap. She makes 20 naira, a few euro cents, with each bag sold. A modest business, but one that makes a world of difference for the mother of 5 children.
I thank God, because my life has changed a lot. When I need something small, I can solve it without stress, without going to borrow money from someone. When I wake up in the morning and my children's father can't give me money to buy them breakfast and he says he has no money, I can give it to them.
Some 1,500 people have been trained and as many jobs have been created. But it's a far cry from the 10 million green jobs initially targeted. And to reach the 100 million hectares of restored land by 2030, the current rate of reforestation will have to be multiplied by 4. So far, the goals seem unrealistic. But on the ground, no one is ready to give up. The announcement last January of 12 billion euros in international funding also helped put the Great Green Wall back in the spotlight and brought hope back in the hearts of those who depend on it. In the Sahel, an estimated 135 million people rely on the deforested lands for their livelihoods.
Sarah Sacco, Moise Gomez with Emmanuel Londe revisiting the Great Green Wall for France 24. Well, that's all from this week's edition. Don't forget, of course, you can catch it again and the previous editions as well on our website at france24.com. More news shortly. Thanks for watching.